There are many. If you want to go and see a book on it, I'll direct you.
Okay, no.
No, you've asked me a question.
Let me. Studies physics.
All right, let me
I
ask.
want you to tell me what you think the laws of physics
Let me.
Physicists don't know.
Okay, well, let me answer your question. So, as someone who studies physics, you're still an undergrad, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're in your first year?
Yes, I am.
All right, so someone like Martin Rees has wrote a book on just 6 numbers.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you should know, because this is a person who's actually outlined the 6 fundamental constants. Among them, for example, n. N he calls nature. He actually calls it n for nature, and he says that is, and that's when he was talking about the numbers that detail the laws of nature. For example, he mentions 6 different numbers: E, N.
Those are numbers of mathematics rather than physics.
They are physics. What are you talking about? What university did you study?
Imperial College London.
Okay, so I'm sure you're clever enough to know that when mathematics is applied to the cosmos, it's called physics. You've just done your A levels. You've just done.
I'm from Germany. I did my Abitur.
Okay, you've done that, so you know the deal, right? So I don't have to tell you that. I mean, I'm not a physicist, but you should know this.
Well, I know that physics is an attempt to mathematically describe the universe.
There you have it. So that's what Martin Rees did. So good. Martin Rees done that. He got 6 numbers. You said what are the rules? You can be described in different ways. Martin Rees has got his standard way.
What are those numbers except for E?
And he's got E equals N equals nature, which he said that
which is mathematically meaningless.
No, let me explain. Why is it mathematically? He actually gave a number, which is 0.07.
What significance does 0.07 have?
Is it called physics when mathematics is applied to the universe or not?
Yes.
Okay, so when he says 0.07 is a number n, which is applied to the universe, is that physics or not?
How does he apply to the universe?
Well, look at E, for example, right?
Yes. E is
he looks at the
right.
So he says that's the conversion of helium into energy, for example.
No, E is. I mean, if we're talking about
epsilon, whatever it is,
well,
man.
Epsilon gets used for a lot of different things.
Right. So he uses it in his own way, and he gives his own articulation of it. Go check the preface of his book or the introduction.
Okay, look.
What's the argument?
What you're saying
what's
right
the argument?
Now is that there are 7 numbers which are important.
6.
6. Okay.
According to Martin Rees, he's an author.
6 numbers that are important.
Right.
How does this relate to the fundamental?
You said your question was that particles don't depend on anything; they're independent. I'm saying to you.
No, I'm saying you have to show that.
Do you believe that particles are independent?
Of what?
You said please don't retract your argument, because watch this, Josh. This is what Christian missionaries need to learn. Now, you're saying that particles are independent, yes or no?
I'm saying they're fundamental.
No, please. No, because you were trying to interrupt me when I was speaking to Aaron Ross.
To the best of my knowledge.
Yeah. Watch this, please.
What I'm basing this off is the standard model, which is the best model we have for the universe right now.
Right.
It's incomplete. All physicists admit that it's incomplete.
No problem. But Julia, you said that particles, fundamental particles, don't depend on anything. She said that.
They're not composed of anything else.
No. You said, unless you want to retract that statement, which is what every atheist does when they're in front of me. No, you said that fundamental particles don't depend on anything.
I believe that to be the case.
Right.
I do not claim that it's
Perfect. Now, do you believe that fundamental particles don't depend on anything?
I believe that to be the case.
Excellent.
I'm not claiming that
Julia,
that's true.
thank you for saying that, because now what you've shown is that you believe in the existence of an independent being. But the only thing is, no, hold on. The only thing is now, no problem. But you accept, because before you were saying there was no such thing as a necessary thing. You're saying now that there is. Now hold on, Julie, and you're going to retract your statement, because that's what every atheist does in front of me. You said, no, it's on camera. You said you believe, you just said it 2 minutes ago. You just said you believe that fundamental particles are not dependent on anything. By definition, what you're effectively saying is you believe fundamental particles are independent. Now, what I'm saying is
technically what I'm saying what I mean when I say fundamental.
Don't say what you mean. That's what you meant.
No. I'm just explaining what the standard model says.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Fundamentally.
Yeah.
According to quantum field theory, fundamental particles are essentially just energy spikes in.
No problem.
Field.
But your belief, and you use your belief.
Depend on energy.
Julia, you shouldn't have come here today and tried to challenge me, because what you've done. No, seriously, you should really think about it before you come and stand and make claims without revising it or thinking about it.
You need to
Julia, I don't need to show you anything. You shouldn't have come here, because what you've done now is you've given me exactly what I wanted. In the beginning, you said that I have to prove that there's a necessary independent being. Now you've just said you believe that fundamental particles are not dependent on your words exactly. You said I believe fundamental particles are not dependent on anything. Now, all I'm saying as a Muslim is that my understanding of...
So
let me finish.
God is in you on.
Let me finish. No, your God... It's my ears, you know. Yeah, your God is in you, is that. Now, the only difference between my God and your God is size. That's the only difference. Honestly, you need to understand, you're not an atheist anymore in front of me. I've converted you straight to Islam. The only thing you need to do... No. All you need to now believe in is the right attributes of God and the Prophet Muhammad as a messenger. And obviously, if you want to believe in Jesus...
we believe in Prophet, the messenger, an electron, a photon...
No, listen to me. You said that...
And also, I will
Julie, no, you don't need to add anything. You've given me exactly what I want to hear.
No.
You don't need to add it. You said that you believe that fundamental particles are independent. That's what she said. Not dependent on anything. That's the definition of independence. Now, if you believe in an independent entity... Now, let me tell you something from an Islamic perspective. And you have to understand this. Let me just finish. Sorry. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Very misleading
you said
in this context.
Wait a minute. You said not dependent on anything. How could something be not dependent on anything and not independent?
Let me clarify.
Yes, please.
I think the word dependent is very misleading because it, fundamentally, even inside the standard model, things that are interdependent. They're just interdependent on a fundamental level. And the thing is, I know that the standard model isn't complete, so there is some deeper layer somewhere.
So it's interdependent.
Right? Oh yeah, they're interdependent.
So what fundamental particles are interdependent?
Well, in the sense that everything relies on
This reminds us of a conversation we had, isn't it? I know you're thinking.
As I said, particles are essentially just expressions of energy in a quantum field.
Julie, thank you. You're contradicting yourself. Because interdependence entails dependence. If you're saying that fundamental particles are interdependent, you're saying it's dependent. Then you said that it's not dependent on anything. That's a contradiction. Either you want to believe in this or that. And that's what atheists do. Josh, this is what atheists do. Julie, is there anything you want to add? Sorry, we're done here. Is there anything you want to add? Yes, of course.
You're talking about contingency. I understand it's a pity that people didn't give you a chance to give you a full argument. Is the Quran contingent?
No, absolutely not.
So we've got... The Quran is not contingent.
No, because we believe it's an attribute of God.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? So,
it's not an issue.
Well,
you asked the question. You thought I would say yes.
No, I knew you would say no.
Okay, no, you didn't. No, you thought I would say yes, but no, it didn't work.
So it didn't need God.
No, it is an attribute of God. The Quran is an attribute of God. It's a speech of God. It's a subgroup. The Quran is a subgroup of an attribute of God, which is speech. So it's
which came first?
No, it was there at the same time. It was always there. It's eternal. The Quran is eternal.
No, this is what you're saying, but I'm afraid it's not.
Thank you very much. Nice try. Anyone else?
No.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's done. It's done. Honestly, it's done. Yeah.
You have the force cause argument by theologians that say everything is contingent on a necessary being.
Yes.
So
yes.
This is the problem. Yeah. Yes. You're presupposing a necessary being, but
I'm not presupposing that. Okay. I'm arguing. No. That's a false understanding. And once again, you can read my book. It's called Kalam Cosmological Arguments. It's bestseller now on what do you call it? On Amazon. And the atheist. What's your name, my friend? Michael. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
You're a nice man. You didn't come like Julie with a hype and then have to leave with her head her tail between her legs.
Be nice.
No. I like you. Huh?
Let's go back to the discussion.
No. I will do. But what I was gonna say to you, what's your name again?
Michael.
Sorry. I'm bad at it. Michael. Michael, here's the thing. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
In one way, because what you're saying is that we have to reason. Your assumption here, what I'm getting from you, is that we have to reason the independent being without assuming the independent being. And what I'm saying is that the independent, self-sufficient, necessary being that I've just described has to be understood because of the contrary proposition of there being only possible existences in the world being an impossible one. So to avoid impossibility, we have to believe a necessary being.
Yeah.
That's
I don't disagree.
So because
with that.
what we're trying to do as philosophers or as logicians is we're trying to avoid impossibilities, right? Because we know impossibilities cannot exist in the real world. And an impossibility is where you have dependent things depending upon dependent things ad infinitum. If you go back to my example of the phone, I think you get my example now. I think you get my argument, by the way. Now.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just thinking that the terminology that you're using, you're not defining them well. So
okay, no problem.
What do you mean by necessary?
Necessary is something which could not have been any other way, number one. It's not dependent, it's independent, so it's not dependent on anything. In other words, self-sufficient, right? And is eternal. So in other words, it's always the case, whether temporality is applied to it or not, that these qualities will always remain in the necessary existence.
So the Quran, outlining all the things that the recitation does outline, creates determinism, doesn't it, really? Which is the argument.
We believe in determinism.
You do believe in
determinism? We believe God is a determiner.
That everything is determined. No free will, I mean.
No, we believe in compatibilism.
Because if you're creating a Quran that's saying all of these things happened, talks about the Bible, talks about the past, talks about the future.
What's your name, sorry?
John.
John, yeah?
John, yeah.
I like you, John.
Then it's all determined, isn't it? And you don't you haven't really.
No, you're right.
You haven't, and it's no free will, and you haven't really demonstrated the way you tried to demonstrate to Julie and Aaron how the Quran and Allah can be non-interdependent, eternal, and not dependent on anything else, and yet the Quran is determined, is dependent
I get you,
all of the things that the Quran describes happening.
Clear. That's clear. I understand what you're saying. No, because there's a misunderstanding of the Islamic theology here. Let me make it very clear.
It was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yes. Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Ahmad and Mu'tazilis and Ahmad. I'm a Hanbali, right? So I follow Ahmad.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were killed over this, weren't they?
Well, not really. I mean, it's not as big as
people.
Not a lot, but there's some people were tortured over it. Yeah.
Okay, tortured.
Yeah, we were on the side of those guys. We're on the side of those guys that were tortured. So, in Islamic theology, the Quran is not created.
I know. Well, in your belief of that.
Yeah. No, it's according to the Sunni understanding, right? So, according to the Sunni understanding, it's not created. Obviously, the Mu'tazilis were a group of people that came extinct that believe it was created, but we don't believe in that. So, because it's not created, and they have their own theology, by the way. You have to go speak to them.
Contingent, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's because it's not created. It's like I'm speaking to you now, right? Though I'm speaking to you now, my speech is part of my attribute. It's part of me, actually, right? Because my speech is part of me. So a speech is an attribute of me, but it's an attribute which is intrinsic to me. So in other words, the speech of Allah is intrinsic to Allah, and the Quran is a subset of that speech, meaning it's also eternal, just like Allah.
But you could say the same about reality.
It's inseparable from Allah.
You could say the same about reality. That reality
because
it is an expression of Allah. And
it's an expression of his attribute of creation.
Of creation.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it is. So it's
no.
It's also,
we differentiate.
Also eternal.
No. Because what we say is that it could have otherwise not been the case. So the universe can be taken out of existence, whereas Allah can never be taken out of existence.
Can the Quran be taken out of existence? Why not?
And the Quran in the recitational form cannot be taken out of existence. In physical form, like books and stuff, and we believe that will happen. By the way,
I'm not talking about the
we believe there will come a time where all the Qurans will be
saying that
the physical,
the recitation is eternal. I mean, even as a recitation, it's quite difficult to have a start and a beginning of something that's eternal.
Yeah, no, we don't have a start of it.
Well, the beginning of the recitation.
No, it was always there.
Yeah, I know, but when it's spoken by God, recitation.
No. So here's a misunderstanding. No, I see what you're saying, but because the speech of Allah is one category, and then a subset of that is the Quran, that Quran is eternal. It was only transmitted to the Prophet by the angel Gabriel, which was already there eternally in what we call the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. There's an entrenchment of all of those things, codifications, and then that was transmitted to the Prophet.
Philosophically, I don't think you made a
no, but just taking a line of what you're saying.
Where's the fallacy?
But then there is an eternally existing thing with Allah, which is not Allah.
No. We say that's part of Allah.
Yes, but it's not Allah.
No, it is. We will say it's part
identical to Him.
We'll say it's part of Allah's attribute.
But one second,
not part of Allah. Part of Allah's
identical to God.
Well, it's like saying, is His mercy Him?
Yeah, so, but I'm asking, is that identical?
Right. So we will say that it's an attribute of it's one of His many attributes.
Yes,
one of
his mercy his merciful acts are different from
it's like
his
saying,
mercy, right?
It's like we had this discussion before, right?
No, his mercy is an attribute, but his merciful acts are contingent.
But classical theism would say that there isn't anything in God which is not God. So God's attributes are identical to God.
That's your understanding.
No. Classical theism is held.
Well, look, that's a mereological study. It's actually a fallacy, in fact.
It's not a fallacy.
It is a fallacy.
It's a traditional position in theistic thought.
But it's a fallacious one as well.
No, it's not, because it tries to uphold...
But let's not go into that. He's an atheist. He wants to talk about basic things.
Yeah, but It shouldn't just be because he's an atheist. We're discussing about something which you are holding as true.
Right, so
I'm coming back to you on the point.
we don't. First of all,
it doesn't matter if the person's atheist or
so that view.
Yes.
Do you believe God has parts?
Sorry?
Do you believe God has parts? I don't believe God has parts.
Yes.
So
but then you have a problem because you're contradicting yourself.
No, let me explain. Right? We believe God is immaterial and incorporeal.
Yes.
And he's also partless, right?
Yes.
But
Divine simplicity, he lacks parts. He's not composed, but then you have a problem because if he lacks parts...
Go ahead, Chair. Go.
Yeah, because I'm saying his speech has to be a part. Because then if it's not
identical... It doesn't have to be. Why you say that?
Yes, because the only reason he doesn't have parts is because everything within him is identical to him. So he's not composed
I don't understand. What's your position? Is your position that God has parts or not?
No, he doesn't have parts.
So why are you saying that you...
So I'm saying anything within God is identical to God.
Here's another thing.
So I'm saying...
The Quran, if it's not...
What do you mean by in?
Sorry?
What do you mean by...
So I'm saying God's attributes, if it's omnipotence, his mercy, or whatever you say, has to be identical to God. So that is a
what do you mean by that? Sorry, that articulation, I'm confused by it.
1 second. The only reason why people have held to that is because they have to say that then God is...
Maybe we agree, because let me explain why we might agree.
Can I just say this point?
Yeah.
Because if they are not identical to God, then things within God is dependent on them.
Josh.
God is not dependent on his omnipotence, he's dependent on his omniscience.
And just before you answer that...
can I just come back on that? Right.
So also, is the Quran able to exist eternally without Allah?
No, because the Quran is an expression of Allah.
Well, then it's contingent on Allah.
No, it's like for example.
I think that's a fair argument.
No.
So then you have to...
Okay. I know what the issue is here. I do know what the issue is here. The issue is here when you're talking about things, anything, right? What are the only things you can make reference to? You can either make reference to mathematical truths, or you can make reference to cosmological ones. Like, for example, in today's discussion, we're making reference to cosmological truths. When I say cosmological, let me be clear. We're talking about things which pertain to the universe, to the cosmos. So, for example, you're wearing a shirt. That's a cosmological... If I were to make an example, analogy with that shirt, that would be a cosmological example, right? Now, what I'm saying is that all of your cosmological understandings, especially as it relates to mereology, and I'm being very clear here, mereology being the study of parts and wholes, okay? Mereology being the study of parts and wholes is... No, not for you, I know you're a philosopher, but for other people. No, not for the people. No, you know what it's like. Mereology being the study of wholes and parts. Any cosmological example we're going to bring is going to be irrelevant to the metaphysical deity which is God.
That's not true, because you can have metaphysical parts. So you have things like matter and form.
No, we're talking about God. So necessary existence.
Yes, but I'm saying you just said something. You can have metaphysical parts, you can have physical parts. Okay? Yeah. Metaphysical parts will be things like matter, form, essence,
we're saying all of those things are irrelevant to God.
No, they're not irrelevant to God.
So is God... I don't get it.
They're not irrelevant
Josh,
to God.
what are you saying?
They're not irrelevant to God.
Why?
No, because some people have had to debate, is God's essence identical to his existence?
No. All I'm saying, Josh, is that when we're analysing parts and wholes in the world that we live in, that study gets us nowhere in understanding the metaphysical reality of God.
Yes, it does. Because what you're doing, you negate those
the
of God.
The essence.
Yes.
The essence of God.
Yes. Philosophers have always tried to negate these things of
Josh,
God.
me and you both believe, on our respective theologies, that we can never be acquainted with the true essence. We can never know exactly what the true essence of God is.
Yes, I have no problem with that.
So if we both agree with that, that the true essence of God, and put essence underneath underlines, if we don't know what how God is, how He is in essence, then what I'm saying is that anything you can imagine or anything that you've observed is not relevant to the discussion of God's essence.
Yes, it is. Because,
we'll agree to disagree.
Readily say that the Quran is that essence.
Yes.
Did you make a comment about it?
Pardon?
Can I say something about your argument from earlier? About the dependent.
Yes, of course.
It seems like even if you granted your full argument that there can't be nothing but dependent things, there's a big jump from there's an absolute something to God.
Exactly.
Well, hold on.
That's exactly where I came in.
Perfect. Is that what you have to say?
The same thing.
You're saying there's this necessary being.
Yes.
There is absolutely nothing to actually say this is Allah.
All right. Okay.
It's just a necessary being.
Thank you very much.
To say it is conscious.
Perfect.
It is personal.
Yes.
It
No.
interacts with people.
You're absolutely right. No.
I want to hear what you're saying.
And then you can only make descriptive features of it. So like let's say with respect to time, like it's timeless, it's spaceless, there's nothing prescriptive about it.
Thank you very much.
You can't derive an oath from an is. It just
David
is.
Hume.
And now you're saying it's Allah.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
and if that's what you're...
wasn't saying that.
No, you're right, and you're right. That no, not that it's Allah with all of the attributes mentioned in the Quran. Absolutely. Do you know what? I want to shake your hand for saying that. Shake my hand. And shake my hand as well, because this is an interrogation.
You're a TV show, man. I think you
That wasn't the point that you were making.
Shake my hand. All right. So that is a very legitimate interrogation. So much so, it's actually very true, right? So we can't say, and I want to agree with you here, that just because you have this necessary independent being, right? That this necessary independent being is personal, has the ability to love, is the loving one. What do you call it? Merciful, wrathful, right? No. All of, you cannot, and this is my contention, right? And I agree with this point. And this is where I think a lot of philosophers have gone wrong, especially Christian philosophers, right? No, and a lot of Muslim ones, a lot of them, a lot of Muslim philosophers.
I'd like to hear the reason then.
The reason is because they try to make too many inferences from first principles. The truth is, of the attributes that you can actually get from this necessary being, there are probably just like 10 maximum, if you really wanted to stretch it, that you can get from this. For example, we talked about the necessity of this thing, the independence of this thing, the fact that this thing